Good morning, beautiful Daikinis. I hope you're doing great. I thought today let's make videos for the new Daikinis. If you're new watching this video and you don't know what womb spirituality is, what goddess spirituality is, why we use certain elements, ingredients in the elixirs for me in the potions that I make to help you awaken your womb powers and embody your own goddess, which is a seed, which is part of you, located in your womb, in your sacral and root chakra. So recently I've been doing a lot more videos in this format, which is vertical, because I'm testing out different ways of making my life easier so that I can post here on YouTube, but also on the other social media, Instagram and TikTok, which really is not second nature to me. So bear with me. I hope you don't judge me. So speaking of tools of the goddess, the work that we do is linked to the cosmic mother, Earth, and our father, mother, source, creator, creatrix energy. And I specifically was mandated to work with the mineral kingdom and the animal kingdom to help support my work in making my potions the most potent as they can be. So the three types of ingredients that you're going to find in my potions, which make my potions so powerful, are gold. So gold, I use gold dust, which is a magic conductor. Some practitioners use other metals. For example, copper is widely used, brass also, silver in some instances. I personally, when I was much younger and I was just playing around and started doing this I'm doing this officially. And immediately I was called by my goddesses, so specifically Oshun, which I got even criticism for because Oshun is not necessarily known in the Yoruba diaspora culture of spirituality. So practiced in the US, she's not known to work or to have as metal gold. However, as an Orisha, as an ancestor spirit, as an ancestor goddess, Oshun came to me as me being from Central Africa and having my own connection, which has nothing to do with dogma or things that you are going to find on the internet if you do research. It has nothing to do with it. For me, it was always gold. Gold, gold, gold. And when I initiated, even in Santeria, when I was crowned Oshun, it was confirmed to me. Don't work with anything that is easily accessible. Don't work with anything less than 18K gold. Otherwise, the magic won't work. This is how I conduct. This is how I bestow upon power in my potions. And gold, 18K or 24, is how I'm able to conduct the magic. So basically pulling down, channeling the magic into my potions to gold. And I talked about the mineral kingdom. So all of our genies and spirits of the mineral world or dimension. So I work mainly with three precious stones. So in my potions, you will have emerald. You will also have rubies, depending on the goddess. So for the Lalita Tripura Sundari potion, it is emerald that I use as the infused energy for the properties of the potion. So you know that emerald is going to be opening the heart chakra. Emerald is going to be connecting you to wealth. So the notion of one, opening your heart to love your existence and having this notion of infinite wealth. And this is what Lalita shows as a stone. And ruby, of course, which has everything to do with the core of my work. I mean, heart, you know that the two main sacred feminine chakras that we have in our system are the sacral and the heart. So Swadhisthana and Anahata chakra. But that's for another video. So in terms of the feminines, the core of my work is really womb healing, womb awakening, connecting to our goddess and awakening our own goddess seed, which is here in, yoni and womb, the cave, the well of creation where our magic, our fertile magic takes place. So ruby is the second one, and third one is diamond. I have to admit, I've only worked with diamonds with a couple of clients because I haven't really, I was saying that my work has really been word of mouth so far, and of course the business that I get from being here on YouTube for several years. So, and I haven't done any type of manifestation or focusing on a specific type of clients, which maybe I should do since I'm transitioning to having less physical labor and more of the work that I love to do, which is really making the most powerful potions. Using my potions is really a holistic practice because it involves being willing to transform yourself in every aspect. You need to surrender and allow yourself to being led by spirit. And not everyone, especially if you're still struggling with money, if you're still surviving, so to speak, and you have this angst and this, the precarity, is that a word in English? Precarious aspect of your life. My potions help, but you have to be willing to do the work. If you do the work for a few months, you stick to it, you don't use the potions to exploit the energy of the deities, I promise you, I guarantee there's going to be transformation like you've never seen before in your 3D, but more, most importantly, within yourself. So diamonds I've used only for me, for my own potions, my own personal potions, and for a couple of clients, which I really, I'm hoping now that I'm saying that, I will expand and play maybe more with diamonds, maybe having a very limited edition, which requires a different type of digital marketing and a different type of display of the potion and the work itself, and it's a different category of people altogether. But yes, if I'm thinking about it, it means it's possible. Anyways, today's video, I wanted to focus on oud because the price of oud has increased again. So, my potions are becoming a rare commodity. I don't buy my oud diluted. I buy the pure raw resin. So if you take into account the three main elements of my potions, which are, like I said, gold as a conductor, the precious stones as the property holder, and oud, which is an energy magnifier, already my potions are in a different category. They're not for everyone. They're definitely a rare commodity, a luxury item, and it is what it is. It is my positioning, it is my lifestyle, it is what I'm helping my goddesses to transform into, and it is a whole system to really heal you from the amnesia of you actually being divinely entitled to having everything you want in the 3D, but not in an arrogant way. It's in a playful, subtle, always about soft femininity. It's about transforming you, transforming your language, transforming even your morals, even the way you see yourself in life, the way you carry yourself, the way you eat, the way you embark in intimacy. Really straying away from the false, very out there femininity that is sold to us, which basically tells us that you have to be free with your physical body, that you can be promiscuous, that there are no consequences to that, first of all, and also, that you have to be physically incarnating or embodying an outside photoshopped version of yourself in order to be beautiful, feminine, and all that. So using the potions and following my the way goddess has told me to set up my womb map, my womb system for manifesting and calling upon these goddesses and allowing them to do the work. So your job is just to surrender, to enjoy the process, to focus on your moaning, on the pleasure principle that I talk about. So because this video is really focusing on newcomers, and as a reminder for anyone who's been here with me for a while, I wrote a few books, and one of them is called Addicted to Pleasure, the Goddess Formula to Manifest Our Most Capricious Desires. So it really sort of debunks any false truth you have about femininity, sacred femininity. What is our womb? What are we supposed to use it for or as? How do we awaken to the simple and genuine notions of being entitled to manifesting anything we want? As a matter of fact, we are powerful manifestors. So it's really about transforming yourself so that your manifestation transforms as well, because you're never not manifesting. So I'm going to read you a few extracts that I actually put together a few months ago, but I never got time to really do it, because I was hoping I would make like a very detailed video with like different, like a lot of editing. The truth is, it feels like I won't have time to do it at all. And because prices of oud have risen again, but the quality also is definitely amazing 2023. So they're kind of related, because there's an elite that definitely has exclusive access to oud itself. So raising the prices makes it, ensures even that the quality is absolutely amazing and that they get that magic. Thankfully, the people I work with always reserve quantities for small artisans like me or others who use oud in their spiritual practice. So I'm going to read you a few things that I got from the Quran, the Bible, from Hinduism as well, and the Vedas, and understanding why I'm using raw oud resin. So I'm not talking about the stuff that you buy like that's diluted or that people use only for perfume, which have like other types of stuff that make it not magical at all. You really have to make a distinction. Ingredients have to be bought or gathered or collected in their purest, closest to nature as possible in order to have the power that you want. Otherwise, yes, because of placebo, maybe you may have some effects, but in reality, there's not going to be change, and you're going to see even in the way you are that you're going to have up and down.
Agarwood can sell for as much as $100,000 per kilogram.
For thousands of years, agarwood has been known as the wood of the gods. First-grade agarwood can cost as much as $100,000 per kilogram, making it one of the most expensive raw materials in the world. Aromatic resin, called aloes, which is dark and moist. Over the course of several years, the aloes slowly embed into the heartwood to create a garwood.
So if you've ever read the Bible, you have come across oud in many instances. You just didn't know what oud is and why is it one of the most preferred and sacred resins, magic ingredients that has been used, not just in the times of the Bible, because we're talking about 1600 years when it comes to the Bible. I mean, they talk about 2,000 years ago, but really it started to be written 400 years after the presumed Messiah existed. So we're talking 1600 to 2000. In the Vedas, they talked about oud already. And in Hinduism, the use of oud dates all the way back to tens of thousands of years ago. So it's nothing new. So in the Bible, oud is actually referred to as aloes, especially if you have the most recent versions, the ones that have been translated and transliterated and modified to serve whoever's purpose. They're calling it aloes, which is why I showed you that clip, which is the third or fourth stage of transformation of the agar tree being poisoned, and after 7 years retrieving that resin that ultimately is called oud. So at one of the stages is actually called aloes. I wanted to make this distinction because I'm going to now to read you a few Bible extracts that talk about they're called verses anyways, where they talk about oud. So now I'm going to read from my iPad different extracts that I got talking about oud in sacred texts. If you're not into educating yourself, if you feel bored by receiving information, this is not a video for you. But this is important to know, to have knowledge, and to choose from free will. A lot of people tend to go with things that are cheap magic, and they expect amazing results. A lot of people also go for cheap magic because they want fast and quick results, like doing magic, for example, to get your ex to text you back. It is what it is. When you want transformation, real transformation, you go for the best and the best only. And even when it comes to sacred intimacy, if you believe that you're worth the best, it's not about demanding it to society. It's not about expecting things or people or men to treat you a certain way. It's about you. Are you made of gold? Are you made of precious materials? Are you cultivating your own precious essence? And it comes with the practice of sacred, intimate spirituality. If you're stingy of your energy, and especially when we talk about womb magic, you need to be stingy about your intimacy, stingy about your sexuality. It's about cultivating that fire and becoming magical. Hence, why I'm only using the best, because that's... So I'm going to start with scripture, because in the Bible, they talk about oud, and they talk about it using the term aloes, which is what I just showed you in the clip earlier. In the book of Psalm, chapter 45, verse 8, it says, all your garments are fragrant with myrrh and aloes and cassia. Out of ivory palaces, strange instruments have made you glad. So there's a sense of this perfume and its magical properties to create euphoria. Remember, the pleasure principle. Because as you know, in sacred texts, nothing needs to be taken literally. there's always different layers, symbolism, double entendre, which basically, the more you grow in your spirituality and you understand occultism, Gnosticism, different layers even of, understanding through the theological lens, you will see that ultimately the Bible is a book of magic. In Proverbs chapter 7, verse 17, it says, I have sprinkled my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. Again, we're talking about sacred intimacy. And in Song of Songs, chapter 4, verse 14, nard and saffron, calamus and cinnamon, with all the trees of frankincense, myrrh, and aloes, along with all the finest spices. Remember the story of Zebah, Queen of Sheba, traveling from Africa all the way to the Middle East to meet Solomon, to create. This is a twin flame, sacred union, symbolic story. So there's a mating of a goddess, someone who has attained goddess status, goddess enlightenment. So we're talking here about Kundalini, going and traveling to meet her male equivalent to gain even more access to divine, sacred, secret knowledge. So she brings her own magic with the spices, the resins, and all of the gifts she wants to bestow upon this wise man. Aloes is also used for embalming ceremonies, and it's not to preserve the corpse. This is an ancient, just like everything that we get from this area in our history comes from Africa. Embalming ceremonies are very, very big in Africa as a whole, and back then with the hieroglyphs that we find and the texts and the papyruses of ancient Egypt, of Nubia specifically, where these plants, these concoctions are used to allow the body to remain in a certain state while the astral and the God body, the goddess body, transcends to the other world. And that is why, as an energy, as a magic magnifier, oud is one of the elements that are used to provide this opening of the 3D, this dimension, to the heavenly dimension. Really start thinking, even just with your brain. It is logical, okay? Logical, just have to open your eyes. So they talk about it in terms of embalmment of the dead in John chapter 19, verse 39, where they said, who at first, so Nicodemus, who at first come to him, capital H, by night, him. Okay, it's not Bible study. Also came bringing a mixture of myrrh and aloes, about 100 pounds weight. And you will notice that in my potions, I use a lot of myrrh, a lot of frankincense as well. And of course, a lot of pheromones. I talked to you about the connection that I have with the animal kingdom. So the use of pheromones, very rare, very hard to find pheromones. Things like viper sperm, for example, which I use, very potent. These things that are used in the the olfactory business, so anything that has to do with scent and fragrance. And of course, for us as potion makers, you have to have all of these elements, all of the earth, the sea, the animals. I mean, there's no veganism in magic, in our practice. So now let's move to the Vedas, the oldest text. And it even says here, I found these are like extract that I got from a while back that I just compiled together because like I told you, I wanted to make this video, which I'm not going to make like a mini documentary, at least not now. But welcoming you, it's important. The Vedas are considered to be part of the oldest religious text found in the world. I talked about 10 to 15,000 years ago, the oldest texts. And this is my little knowledge of having done theology in college and then having pursued my research. There might even be older documents that I don't know of because I'm not the most expert in the field. I'm just talking to you about oud here. But the Vedas date back tens of thousands of years ago. The Vedas partially explained how to achieve rites, rituals. The Vedas explain how to achieve rites and rituals which have a major role in the practice of Hinduism. The real Hinduism is mysticism as well. There's a level of alchemy and of magic, of course. That's why you don't practice it on your own. Even the mantras and things like that, they have to be blessed, channeled, blessed, and conveyed in a specific way with specific honoring that you do to the goddesses, the deities. These rites have integrated in the everyday life of the believers. They often include an oblation of fire where food and incense are given as offering. The elements used. Incense, especially the oud of agar, occupies an important place. During official ceremonies which took place in temples, agar oud was often mixed with other substances such as sandalwood, another big one in, if you're spiritual. The Hindu consider that the agar oud has the best exudation, being the most pleasant and most powerful incense for a number of divinities. It is, for example, the favorite incense of God Krishna, whose body is said to smell like agar oud. Now in Islam, oud is known as the wood of gods. It is at the basis of one of the most prized fragrances in the world with an intoxicating musky scent. Thus, the perfume of oud is also called black gold or liquid gold in the Middle East. They should also include Africa, North Africa, the Maghreb, yes, because we use it in different ways. However, I have to say, the Middle East has perfected the use of raw oud and integrated it as part of the masculine symbolism of power and wealth, and also for the feminine as one of the tools of sacred seduction and sacred intimacy. Oud is part of life, and you will notice that the ones who seem to abuse of raw, the most expensive oud, tend to also be the people who do not live in scarcity right now. Actually, if you look just by observation, right? And I will end with this last element, which is oud follows a long tradition and is used for a variety of purposes, from medicinal to aromatherapy to mystical, spiritual, and in perfumery, while also being synonymous with luxury, exclusivity, and intimacy. This sums what my potions are about. Luxury, spirituality. The two go hand in hand when you make the decision that you're no longer part of the renunciation spirituality that renounces access and entitlement to your divine right to wealth. So just from observation, having traveled extensively throughout the years, I will tell you that I have noticed that in the Middle East, there is a deliberate will to preserve, to to promote access to wealth for the majority. So people at the top, of course, have immense wealth, but even people at the bottom, I mean, if you go to places like Oman, everyone, there's no such thing as poverty, which is different from any society that is a recipient of the Roman Empire, which has now become Western or westernized society, where you can see the clear pyramidal division of classes, where the 1% have huge access to wealth, and there's a propaganda of information ensuring that people remain slave-minded, so no one is free to access wealth and have the certainty that it is their right to have wealth inherently if there was equitable distribution even of wealth in our societies in the West and westernized. So it is your role, it is your responsibility to know, to acquire knowledge. Hence me doing today a video which is very different from what I usually do. Because whether you're using my potions or not, it is still important to understand, especially as a woman, as a divine being holding so much power within you, as part of you, as part of that temple, the behaviors and the thoughts that are going to come together and create a conducive soil for you to actually live a beautiful life where money is not an issue, where seduction and harmony in your home is not an issue, but it comes with knowledge. It comes with starting new habits that you didn't have before, habits pertaining to rituals, daily spiritual rituals, but also habits of the mind, habits of the foods you eat, habits of the company you keep. The biggest company you have is you.
Malaria wood around it. In a painstaking task that often takes hours, resin-infused chips, also known as oud, are carved out by hand. Oud chips are commonly used as incense, particularly in the Middle East, where they're burnt both as tokens of hospitality and infused into clothes and garments as a perfume. Oud is also distilled into an essential oil, and in its purest form, aged oud oil can cost up to $80,000 per litre, earning the nickname amongst traders of liquid gold. As its popularity continues to grow in the West, oud has become a common ingredient in several high-value fragrances, adding a warm, musky aroma. But due to unsustainable production and poaching, it was described as a fragrant product of wealth and luxury in one of the world's oldest written texts, the Sanskrit Vedas, dating back as early as 1400 BC.
I didn't even watch the documentary.
The aroma produced from agarwood has been highly valued by many cultures and religions throughout history. In the Nirvana Sutra, aloes is mentioned as a heavenly wood used in the cremation of Buddha. In the New Testament, Jesus' body was anointed with a mixture of myrrh and aloes following his crucifixion.
Didn't I tell you about embalmment?
And in the Sahih al-Bukhari Hadith, the description of paradise by Allah's messenger includes the burning of agarwood as incense. The global market for agarwood is estimated to be worth a staggering $32 billion. But where oud was once so common, high demand has not only increased the price, but also the rate of harvesting and artificial production.
So daikinis, there you have it. Different type of content. Let's be smart, intelligent, educated daikinis, okay? Now you understand why my prices are my prices. Oud, precious stone, and gold are not cheap, but you go for the biggest type of magic and you go for transformation. I'm not making up stuff. I'm using what has been used for millennia, really, reinforcing a formula of how to become human gods and goddesses on earth. So that's it, you know. You go for what you want to transform into. I hope this video was informative. I will leave you now. So I wish you to manifest lavish imperial opulence. I love you, and I'll see you in my next one. Mwah.